Welcome to Fancy Sense, my personal finance and productivity channel I created to help everyday people make it make sense. If you're new to the Fancy Sense family, I'm Fancy. Thank you for taking the time to watch my content. If you're back, thank you for coming back for another great video. Today I'm going to break down 5 credit cards that can be used to help build your credit score. Let's get right into the 5 things that I'm going to look at as it relates to each 5 credit cards. There are 5 categories that I shop for when I'm shopping for a credit card, and I think that you will find important as well. The number one thing is credit score requirements. Does the credit card require a high credit score, a low credit score, if it requires a credit score at all? I'm going to say this, that I can't guarantee based off your credit score you will get approved for these cards. These are estimates. The next thing we're going to look at is annual fees. If the card has annual fees, if it doesn't have annual fees, I'm going to tell you that I hate fees, so I tried to find cards that didn't have annual fees. We're going to look at interest rates for each card. We're going to look at ease of use for each card, and we're also going to look at bonuses and rewards for each card. So I want to break down those 5 categories as it relates to each 5 credit cards. I also want to put this out. I am nowhere affiliated with any of these credit cards that I mentioned. I did some research and I just found credit cards that I thought would benefit people who build credit, who are trying to build their credit score. So I'm going to add the links below if you want to learn more about the credit card, but I'm not anywhere affiliated. I'm just trying to give you all information to help you build a better financial life. Because that's the only thing we do. That's my goal here, is to make it make sense, okay? So let's jump right into the very first credit card. Before we jump into the 5 credit cards, I do want to put one more thing out. I want to break down the difference between limited credit and bad credit. So limited credit and no credit is not necessarily a negative thing. It just means that you don't have enough information to generate a credit score. Bad credit, on the other hand, means that you do have enough information to generate a credit score, and based off that information, you have a bad score. One of the first cards I want to talk about is the Petal Card. The Petal Card is a great card for people who have limited credit history or they have no credit history. So if you're young and you're starting out, or if you're just an older person and you never used any credit, I think it's a great card to start out. And I'm going to tell you why based off the 5 things that I mentioned earlier. So number 1, your credit requirements are limited to no credit. So if you don't have credit, limited credit, you probably will get approved. Like I said, can't guarantee it, but it's a great possibility you will. Fees. It has no annual fees. They also don't have a lot of other fees. This is what I really liked about this card. They don't have late fees. They don't have international fees. And it's a couple of other, they don't have any fees at all. So that's pretty good. So a lot of cards, if you make a late payment, you will get hit with a late fee, but this card doesn't. Even though I recommend that you pay your balance off in full, that is a good perk just in case you have an accident or something. There are no late fees. Ease of use. It's a Visa card, so you can pretty much use it anywhere. Visa is pretty much accepted worldwide, so you wouldn't have much of a problem using this card in multiple locations. The interest rates for this card is 12.99 to 23.9 times, and it's variable. So if you are not familiar with a variable interest rate, basically what that means is at any time they can change your interest rate based off what the market says or does, but it typically won't go lower than 12.99 or higher than 23. And based off your credit score will determine what interest rate you have initially. If you have really good credit, you're probably going to get that lower interest rate, but if you have limited and no credit, it may be a little higher. And if you do get approved and you have a low credit score, you probably will have a higher interest rate. But it doesn't matter, because you only pay interest on the money that you leave a balance on your card. And we all know I always recommend that you pay all of your cards off in full to avoid paying fees or interest on the money, to avoid paying interest. So the Petal Card does have and rewards, which is why I really love this card if you're just starting out. I love rewards. I mentioned it in my last video. The card offers 1 to 1.5% cash back on just about everything you spend. It starts off at like a 1% rate, and then it rises up to 1.5 over time, if I remember correctly. I am going to add the card in the description so you can go do more research, but it's a great card for everyday purchases. So if you're just building your credit and you want to follow the code that I use to build my credit by using my card every day, this is a great card for everyday purchases. Some of the cons of this card is that I did read some of the reviews, and I know a lot of people said they had a hard time getting approved and they had a hard time reaching out to customer service, but they did have quite a few good reviews as well. So I would recommend this card for students or young people who are trying to build credit, or if you have limited credit and you have no credit and you just want to get a card that you can use to help start that credit building journey. The next card I'm going to discuss is the USAA Rewards Visa Signature Card. I like this card because it was one of the first cards that I was approved for when I was trying to build my credit. It does have a military affiliation, so you have to either be in the military or be a contractor of some sort for the military. And the reason why I mention this card is because I am military, so I know a lot of my viewers are military, and I think this is a great card to have if you're starting out. You have limited credit or something like that. Credit score requirements. When I was doing my research on the website, they didn't really give a specific on if you had limited or no credit requirements, and I didn't really find any information where other people were talking about it. But from my experience, I can tell you that I didn't have a lot of credit history when I applied for the card, and I was approved, especially for military contractors. If you're probably going to get approved, because I know a lot of people who apply for cards, whether it be USAA or Navy Federal, and they get approved for it. I really like this card because it's a great opportunity, and I'm getting to the reason why in a second. Fees, there are no annual fees, so that's a great thing. You don't have to worry about paying a fee every year. Ease of use, it's a Visa card, so you can use it everywhere. Me personally, this is my everyday card, so I use it every day. Interest rates, this is why I like this card. Interest rates on this card is 9.9 to 25.9%. So the interest rate is very low. When I first applied for this card 10 years ago, I qualified for the same interest rate at the low rate, and I had limited credit. I didn't have a great credit score like I have right now. So if you're starting out, you're affiliated with the military, it's a great card because it does have low interest rates in comparison to other cards, because most of the cards I'm going to mention today are going to have at least a 13% interest rate, 12.99. This one right here has a 9.9. So rewards, this card has 2% on gas and dining out, and 1% on everything else. So the rewards is based off a point system, so you can redeem your rewards for things that they offer on the website, like movie tickets, travel perks. But me personally, I always use the cashback rewards, and I enjoy it because it's just an opportunity for me to just get bonuses for spending my money, because some of the times I see that the rewards that they are offering are not as good as the cashback to me. The bonus that this card does have is that you do get a $2,500 point bonus when you make your first purchase. So you just have to make a purchase. You don't even have to make a limited purchase, which I think is pretty great. So one thing I don't necessarily enjoy about this card, because they do have a lower interest rate, I have had a hard time getting my credit limit raised with this card. So if you're somebody that's looking for a credit card that has a higher credit limit, you probably won't use this card because they are very stringent about it. So your credit rate in the beginning is very low, and even over that, I've had it for so long, I still do not have a high credit limit. So that's just something, if that's important to you, I do want to point out about this card. But other than that, it's a great card. Like I said, I use it every day. The next card I'm going to talk about is the Bank of America Student Travel Rewards card. This card is great for students or people who like to travel, or students who like to travel. So your credit requirements for this card is limited to no credit history, so that's why it's probably attracted towards students, because many students have very limited credit history and they're trying to build their credit. Fees, there are no annual fees, so that's a great thing. You don't have to worry about making any payments. Ease of use, it's a Visa card, so you can use it everywhere as well. The interest rate, now it has a 0% introductory interest rate period for the first year. So for the first year, anything you put on the card, you don't pay any interest on it, which is great. But that can sneak up on you if you don't end up paying that card off in full before the introductory period is over with. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of it, but you don't take advantage of it, but you take advantage of it, but you also are responsible about it. Other than that, once you're out of that introductory period, the interest rate is 14.99 to 22.99, which is kind of high, but it's kind of standard as well. So pretty good interest rate. The rewards on this card is 1.5 for every dollar spent that can be used towards travel rewards. Now, their travel reward points are higher than the cash equivalent, so you can trade your reward points in for cash, but it's not as high if you redeem them for travel rewards. So this is really good for people who like to travel and who really don't want to use the cashback benefits. So, and one thing I do like about this card is that you do get a $250 in travel rewards when you spend your first $1,000 in the first 90 days. That is amazing, right? So if you're looking to travel, I know it's going to be hard to travel right now, but you know, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, the rewards points don't expire. So even if you got the card and you wanted to wait till maybe next spring break and you're a student, hopefully by then travel restrictions it'll be more comfortable to travel. You will already have a credit card and you've already planned for the future, Great credit card. The next credit card we're going to talk about is the Credit One Platinum card. Not to be confused with Capital One. These are two different companies. They kind of look alike. It's weird, but they're not the same. This card is good for people who have fair credit, maybe borderline bad credit. They have a few negative details on their credit report, and they're just having a hard time getting approved for a credit card, but they're also trying to build their credit. So, credit score requirements for this card is you need to have fair credit. I would say anywhere between 580, 669. Fees. So this card may have a fee. You could get 0 yearly annual fees, and it could go up all the way to $99. It just depends on what they say once you apply for the credit card. Ease of use. It's a Visa, so you can pretty much use it everywhere. The interest rate on this card is 17.99 to 23.99, which is kind of high, but if you're trying to build your credit, obviously you just want to get a credit card and you can get approved for it. And like I mentioned earlier, if you pay the card off in full every month, you won't even have to worry about the interest rate at all. The reason why I like this card is because I was having a difficult time finding cards that gave you cashback rewards that people with fair to bad credit would get approved for, and this card does. The rewards are limited. You only get 1% on certain purchases, but you are getting the perks of this. You are getting the perks of using this card that you wouldn't necessarily get if you were to get a secured card or something like that, which I'm going to mention later. The last card I'm going to discuss is a card for people who have bad credit or people with limited or no credit history who are having a hard time getting approved for other credit cards. This is a secure card. A secure card requires you to place a deposit on the card, and the deposit is typically your credit limit, and it's designed to help you build your credit. I do not recommend secure cards for anybody that has good credit and can get approved for a regular card, because like I said, you got to put a deposit down, and a lot of times they don't have a lot of great perks. But I found one that I think is great for people who have really bad credit scores and they're trying to build their credit back up. So the last credit card is a Discover Secured Credit Card. This credit card is for people who have limited credit history or no credit history, that's having a hard time getting approved for one of the cards I mentioned earlier, or you have a bad credit score. Basically, anything less than a 580 is pretty much considered to be bad. So if you're in this category, then this might be a great credit card for you. Fees for this card is no annual fees, which I think is great. A lot of cards out there that are secured, they do have annual fees, so watch out for that. You don't want to do that. Ease of use. Now, this is a Discover card, and you can't use a Discover card as with many merchants as you would be able to use a Visa, but I'm gonna get into a hack that you can use in a second to help you still build your credit, even though you probably won't be able to use this for everyday purchases. So just stay tuned for a second for that. Interest rate. The interest rate for this card is fixed. It's not a variable. I mean, it's variable, but pretty much if you start out, it's going to be 22.99. It may go up and down because all interest rates are variable, but for the most part, if you get approved for the card, you're paying a 22.99% interest rate, which is actually ridiculous. But if you follow my hack that I'm going to mention in a second, you will be fine. Trust me. All right, rewards. This is why I like this card. Most of the secured credit cards I saw, they did not offer rewards, but this card does. You get 2% cash back on gas stations, restaurants, up to $1,000, and 1% on all other purchases. So no matter what you put on the card, you're still gonna get cash back. Even the card I mentioned earlier didn't give you cash back rewards like this one does, so I think it's great. So one thing I do like about this credit card too is that typically if you make on-time payments on time, they will allow you to get your deposit back. So a lot of secured credit cards do not offer you the option to get your deposit back, but this card will offer you the option to get your deposit back at the end of after a period of time. So that's one thing I did like about this card. Let's talk about how I will use this card. Because you are limited on where you can use this card at, I will use this card how I mentioned in my previous video, is that to just pay all my bills, pay all my subscriptions on it. You're not going to be able to use it everywhere, but you can build your credit history by using it. So if you have multiple subscriptions, more than likely most subscription services probably will accept Discover, because it's probably going to accept Discover. Or if it doesn't, just find a few that do, and then you use this credit card there and you pay it, and you just have it set up on auto payments from your bank. So let's say you take your Netflix, put it on there $10.99 a month, however much you're paying for Netflix, set it up through your bank, automatically come out So after a year or so, you've shown good stewardship with the credit card. Hopefully your credit score rise, and then you can qualify for cards with better perks. I hope you found this content helpful today. Let me know what you did to build your credit. I use credit cards and student loans, which is a topic for another day. Yes, student loans did build my credit, but comment below with what you did to build your credit. I would love to know so we can discuss further. Comment below what other topics you want to see me discuss on my channel. I love your feedback. I'm Fancy. Thank you for taking the time to watch my channel, Fancy Sense, where we make it make sense. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of the Fancy Sense family. Make sure you hit that like button. Give this video a thumbs up so that I know you like my content and I can keep on bringing it in. YouTube, of course, can push it out to other people who may want to learn more. And make sure you hit that bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload new content. You can also follow me on your favorite social platform. I am on IG and I am on Facebook. The descriptions for everything is in the link below. All the credit cards I mentioned today is also in the link below. And since you're here, you might as well take the time and watch some of my other content, because you know I'm just going to place a video right here so it's easy for you and you don't have to worry about doing anything else but just clicking on it and keep watching it and commenting and tell me what you want to see so I can make sure I deliver you all great content.